It's showtime, everybody. We're live. Welcome to the Liquid Swan channel. But before I introduce the guest, I want to say, if you're interested in Southern history, today's sponsor is Tall Man Books or Tall Men Books. Sorry, Mr. George Bagby, a friend of the channel and friend of the Sphere. Today's featured book is a good price. It's half price almost, $16.39 US. Southern Concerns: Shorter Writings of Walter Linwood Fleming. So get yours while the getting's good. And no more to do with that. Welcome, Aaron Duke. Thank you for coming.
Hey, mate. Very, very happy to be here.
It's great having you. I've known you for quite a while. I think I was on your stream recently. I was on a stream with you and on your channel, and I think a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago.
Yep.
We were also on one.
Would have been years ago. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while, but it's always good to catch up with you. I finally got your follow on Twitter, so that's a big thing for me. If everyone follow Iron Duke on Twitter, I have the links in the description, or I think I have it in the description. Should be there, and it's also in the banner going across the screen. So, if in case you forget, it's going to be there the whole time. Well, let's get on with the questions. What do you say? I'll take that as a yes.
Thing. Yeah.
All right. So how about you? So, Duke, how about this? You tell the audience about yourself, because I know a lot about you, but the audience might not. I'm sure certain many will, but tell us about yourself. What was it like back in England and your life's journey?
There's not a great deal to know about me. I was born in England in 1965, so I'm a very old bastard. I joined the British Army when I was 18. Did 3 years, left, went to South Africa, ended up joining the South African Defence Force, lived in South Africa for over 15 years, met an Australian girl in South Africa, fell in love with her, moved to Australia in 2000. That's the short version anyway.
2005?
2000.
Oh, 2000, okay. What was it like in Australia? What was it like in South Africa in 2000 compared to now? I guess you must still have friends back there.
I do. 3 of them have been murdered by black people.
Jesus.
At least 3 that I know of. All in rural areas, of course. Like I used to, my posse, as we used to say in South Africa, my place in South Africa was in northern Natal, which is a very beautiful part of the world. It's kind of like on the border between traditional Natal and what used to be Zulu land.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could ride my motorbike to Rorke's Drift, the battlefield, or Isandlwana in half an hour or so, something like that, from where I lived. And yeah, at least 3 of my friends have been murdered by black people since I left in 2000. So, yeah.
We share that in common. I have a stream I do on my channel almost every weekend, and we used to have a guy from South Africa. Then one day he just stopped showing up, and we weren't sure because sometimes while we're doing the stream, someone would start fiddling with his door handles and stuff, or fiddling with his gates, and he would run off, and the people were trying to break in. I don't know. We have a sneaking suspicion that because all his stuff went dead, like everything, Discord, Twitter, Reddit, everything was gone. So, or it was there, but it hasn't been used in over a year or over years now. So
wouldn't surprise me. If you're interested in what happens in South Africa, I cannot do better than suggest you follow Conscious Caracal.
Oh, yeah.
Conscious Caracal is like probably one of the best South African YouTube streamers. He's a really cool Afrikaner dude. And yeah, go and follow him if you want to know what's going on in modern South Africa today, for sure.
And he's part of the AfriForum, right?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he tells a lot of interesting stories. Yeah, so go follow him.
He's a good man. I'm like he and I would disagree a bit about some late 19th, early 20th century South African history, but he's fighting for his people and he's doing the best job he can. And I like him a lot. He's a good man.
Yeah. And as for Australia, how's life been there for you?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, it's kind of a bit like all of the Anglosphere, as you all know yourself as a Canadian, Liquid Swan. It's got the same problems as all of the Anglosphere countries, basically.
Is there worse areas or better areas there?
Yes, for sure, there are. Like I don't live in them. I used to live very close to the center of Melbourne, and I don't now. And I was talking to a Aussie dude on my Discord earlier today and pointing out I haven't been to the CBD of Melbourne for like 2 years, and frankly, I don't miss it. But
the Central Business District.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Oh, and what's like a decent place in like Australia? What's the best state to live in if you're not like a California AIDS patient?
In Australia, do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it used to be Queensland, but that's not true anymore because Queensland's gone left wing now. So I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know how to answer that. I think like Victoria is pretty left wing, where I live. But I used to live in Queensland, and Queensland used to be a right-wing Australian state, but it isn't anymore. So sadly.
What do you think happened with that? Like, what do you think is up with the Anglosphere and like? I mean, obviously there's a lot of good guys that we know, but what's up with like the? I can see it in my own father in some ways. This sort of like submission to the pause, like the submission to this like progressive nonsense. That's a big question. Sorry, guys. We're having technical issues with the connection from Australia, I think. Oh, go ahead. Seems to have calmed down.
We've just been infected with the pause. I mean, I don't mean you and I, but like, so many people have been infected with the pause. There are men, men in air quotes,
informed,
who, say they're feminists and stuff like this. I mean, no real bloke would say that, in my opinion, but whatever.
Yeah, no, it's sad.
Even women don't like it. I mean, even women, if you turn around and tell women I'm a feminist, they don't like it. I mean, even if they're lefties and they claim they do, they don't. But
yeah, I noticed that with like women. Like if I see like a like a Vosh looking guy say to a woman, like a ardent sort of left wing hippie girl, that they're a feminist, you almost see like an instant side eye from them, as if they're like, oh crap, one of them, but I gotta pretend everything's normal.
They're friend zoned immediately. They're friend zoned.
Yeah, exactly. They're what do they call it? Spengler called it the Ibn woman.
I mean, it's just an automatic. Yeah, women don't like beta lefty blokes. They don't. It's like it's in women's DNA that they don't like men like that.
Yeah,
they just don't. I mean, you come from like the area of Canada that has like big ranches and all this kind of stuff, I believe. And
I'm on the West
women
Coast.
like women like dudes who are like cowboys and people like that. They just do. It's
well,
just
the place where I live used to be all lumberjacks, essentially, right? And
again, that's the sort of dude that women tend to like. It's like
Yeah.
someone who they think can defend them and this sort of thing.
Which is, I mean, the state, the way they sort of have substituted the state for men in a lot of cases, like for women, um, it looks like it's the state will protect them, but they're not really. Like the state's not really capable of that sort of protection. It's just like how um, you have a gun to defend yourself, but there's also the police. They can't arrive on time. But like a husband will give his life usually if they're not a coward to defend his family. But like the police,
100%.
yeah, police are going to arrive 10 minutes late.
100%. Yeah, the police will be there 10 minutes late and $1 short. As we say in Australia. If you fuck up in Australia, you say you're 10 minutes late and $1 short. Because you are. and
Yeah,
exactly. That's what the cops do. They turn up 10 minutes late and $1 short, and your wife and kid are probably already dead if there ain't no bloke there to defend them.
Well, my kids are getting older, and they're like, "What would you do if like a really tough guy, like a guy like a bodybuilder, someone really tough, like start attacking my family?" They're like, "What would you do?" I was like, "Well, I would immediately jump in, start assaulting the guy until and keep swinging until one of us isn't conscious. Didn't matter who, because if you just throw yourself into the fire."
Yeah, like all typical husbands and dads in all history, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's just like the natural sort of male response.
It's the only thing you can do, What else can you do? I mean, all right, maybe. Certainly in the old days in Canada, you could have shot the bastard, but, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. So I got no more question. Tell the audience about your YouTube channel, because you obviously have a YouTube channel. I've been on it. I guess a lot of our guys have been.
Yeah, quite a few people. I'm actually. It's good because tomorrow I'm going to have the Franklin on, and the Franklin is one, in my humble opinion, he's one of the best Australian YouTubers. And he recently lost his YouTube channel. I think because he may have called a tranny not a woman.
Oh, okay.
So in other words, he told the truth. I think he told the truth.
He misgendered a troon, or properly gendered a troon.
Yeah, well, I would say properly, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to have the Franklin tomorrow. He's an excellent YouTuber. I've also had Morgoth on several times. I've had some pretty good people on my channel, I have to say. But yeah, I run my YouTube channel, and it's my regular stream that I do every week at 9 p.m. UK time, which is 6 a.m.
Was that was that 6 a.m. Aussie? Can you hear me?
What, in Eastern Australia, where I live.
Okay.
Advertise it. So it grows painfully slowly, but it grows.
Yeah, that's as long as you're consistent. I think it keeps going. So that's 6 a.m. Eastern Australian time and 9 p.m. UK, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think it's 2000 at the moment, Greenwich Mean Time.
Oh, okay, 2000. Yeah, because it's summer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was it spring forward? I don't know. Well, I guess it's fall back. How does it work? It's opposite in Australia, isn't it?
It does change. But
yeah, my in-laws are in Brazil, and I know that like when we go forward, they go backwards or something. Or when we go forwards, sometimes we're 4 hours difference, and sometimes we're 6. So it depends on the season. Sometimes we're 5 minutes.
Have you been there?
To Brazil?
Been there, Liquid? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been there 3. I've been there 3 times. I'm going back in December, January as well, like for a whole month. Yeah. It's cooking there. Like it's
No,
last time when I was
that's
there in January, it was like 50
cool.
degrees.
One of the
Oh, we're losing
places
your for some reason
that
your sound is
I've
coming through all robotic.
always wanted to go that I haven't been is the Amazon.
Oh, the Amazon is way far away. Like it's like the same. It'll be like you going to Papua. It'd be like you going to Indonesia. It's about that far away.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I usually go to
Still interested.
yeah. I know. I'd love to go there, but it's really hard to get to. Like, there's not really proper roads through it. You can get to like Manaus, and then after that, it's sort of. I mean, you could be driving on the road and run into a militia, and they might not be a friendly one.
I've seen like a couple of videos, Liquid, where people have got on riverboats that have been going down the Amazon in Brazil.
Mhm.
And that always struck me as like that would be an interesting thing to do, I think.
Oh yeah, that'd be super fun. My wife's or sorry, my father-in-law, he's been up there. Like he had to he's an engineer. What's it? An engineer, I think, in a construction of huge projects. I'm not sure how you call that. And they do like oil drilling and stuff, or they were doing mineral and oil drilling out in the Amazon. And I think he ended up doing most of the oil drilling off the coast, but like designing tankers and stuff. But yeah, so he's been out.
Cool.
He's been there. He used to, when he was younger, he would like go on these projects or whatever for several months, or maybe you'd be out there for like a month and come back for a week and go back out for a month. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy out there. Like there is no civilization in certain places. Like you're in like a desert of civilization. Oh, and when you fly over it, when it's nighttime, when I fly there, sometimes it's like dark, and it's dark. Like there's no light for like hundreds of
Yeah.
miles of flying.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, man. But I mean, I think it's an Anglo-Celtic thing.
Oh, exploration.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I think it depends. I think you have to have the spirit, and I think a lot of people don't anymore. Like I have the spirit to go check things out. Like if you ask my father, his idea of vacation is Mexico. Like go to the beach and stuff. Mine is to go to Iceland and then to go to the Highlands. I want to walk. I want to walk somewhere. Yeah, I want to walk somewhere no one else has walked.
Yeah, no, I've been to Iceland and almost fell off one of the glaciers once, but that was because I was stupid and it was foggy. But
where were you? Whereabouts?
We were on a glacier. I went to Iceland with a British geologist. Would you?
It's happening again.
Many moons.
God, man, the internet is not being nice right now.
Century. And
sorry, we lost.
Duke,
we lost all that because it roboted until from geologists.
Okay.
Until now.
I went to Iceland with a British geologist, and we went to touristy places like the Icelandic Parliament and this kind of stuff. But we also went up on an Icelandic glacier, and it was so foggy you couldn't see 100 feet in front of yourself.
Yeah.
And I managed to lose my grip on the ice, and I ended up like sliding down about, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 100 foot of ice.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of it, I'm thinking to myself,
hold on. We're losing it again.
Break my legs there or not, you know what I mean? And I thought it was a great place.
No, it's awesome. I
love the Iceland.
Oh, it's great.
The ponies are lovely.
The ponies, the black sand beaches, the moss fields, the ocean, the wild ocean. You know, like it's so
Yep.
like the Atlantic,
The
like
puffin
raw.
birds are great. The hot springs in Iceland, they're really cool too. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. No, I checked those out. I went to Nathólsvik last time, which is south of the city of Reykjavik, and went there. I went to the Blue
The
Lagoon the
only
first
thing I would,
time.
yeah, no, I've been there. I've been to the Blue Lagoon. I was also happy that I took a bottle of Irish whiskey because even when I went to Iceland, and God knows what it's like now, but
Oh,
when
it's
I
brutal.
went there, you could pay like £6 or £7 for a glass of wine.
For a glass. Oh yeah, yeah. When I went there, it was
Like
around.
alcohol is ridiculous.
I think it
I
cost
don't
me
know what it's
11.
like now, mate, but when I went there, as I said, you could pay six for red wine, for God's sake.
I think I paid.
Ridiculous.
I
They
think I
don't
paid
like
like
you drink.
$11. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, when I was there in
Yeah, that
2015, I
sounds
paid
right, mate.
$11 for a beer, and then I went last time. I
Yeah,
didn't drink, but it's even more expensive. That was 2022, probably around like I swear to God, it's probably like $16-17 for a pint.
yep, believe it. Believe it. That was the only bit I didn't like about Iceland, I have to say.
Well, if you
I
can go to
used to be
the
a British Scot.
yeah, makes sense. Yeah, well, like, the beer was banned, I think, until '88 or something like that. There was like the recently unbanned beer.
I can believe it. Very strange when you think it's a Norse place, though, because the
Yeah,
Norse used to like their beer.
yeah. I wonder if it's like a Lutheran thing, like they went Lutheran and then just like banned it. I don't know. I haven't looked into that history to be honest. Well,
Could
when the
be.
Brits and the do you know about they called it the situation when the Brits and the
Mm-hmm.
Americans occupied Iceland and they were
Yeah,
I think
yeah. World War
300
II.
Icelandic girls got pregged. But I read a thing about that. It was crazy. Like the Icelandic men were going nuts about this.
Well, I don't blame them, to be honest.
No, yeah,
But
fair.
then women are always attracted to the exotic. So I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I've been trying to learn Icelandic for a number of years. I have some knowledge of it, but it's helpful when I'm because I'm in the process right now of like writing a book. Uh,
uh-huh.
it's like a fictional. It's going to be a fictional book. It's sort of like it looks at history it looks at mythology, like a sort of the story of Odin, but from like I want to say materialistic, but like from a point of view that like a materialist nowadays might understand it better. But I do put some like sort of mystical elements and stuff like that, and to make it more true to form. But it is my method is sort of like map based. I kind of look at a map, like okay, how do I get this character from here to there, and then I try to like fill that in with interesting adventures and whatever. But I'm gonna see how it goes. It'll be my first fiction book so far. I have I did tell you I published a book a couple months ago.
No, I didn't know that, mate. But you do say, what is it?
Oh, it was called Essays on the Western Decline. It's just basically stuff from my Substack that I put together in sort of like a logical form, so it like follows a progression, I guess you could say, or an order, order of thought, anyways,
Makes
from
sense.
beginning to end. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun to do. I mean, I had the material, so I just put it together.
Makes sense.
Actually, I tell you the truth, I'm surprised that more people don't do that because it's so easy to sort of self-publish. Because like you could probably write an interesting story. It's just hard to find. It's hard to figure out how to format it. That's really the big problem. Because like if you think about what you've done in your life, right? Not a lot of people have done that. This is sort of like you're sort of like the last man that got to do the colonial thing.
I'm not sure that many people these days have. I don't think many people these days can put together half a dozen paragraphs, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, it's sad. It's
It's a
sad.
dying skill.
Well, it's interesting because like people think like being able to read and write, um, the purpose was to like expand intelligence or expand access or education. But then if you think about it, all it really did was make people more susceptible to propaganda.
To some degree, yeah.
I mean,
To some
for some
degree,
people,
I,
to a lot of people it's valuable, but some people, a lot of people it isn't.
I think, to be honest, these days, most people don't read much. Um,
Yeah,
physical books are rarer and rarer.
yeah. Oh, it's roboting again. We got rarer and
Uh,
rarer, and then
and
it roboted. Oh,
as
it's
much
almost back.
as I will sometimes use, um,
Yeah.
so I think literacy is actually going down nowadays, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, for
Literacy
sure.
in the sense of like you understand the words you're reading, and yeah, I think that's going down. Serious book called like Years of the Great Silence.
Mhm.
Go check it out, guys. That's an actual history book, and
That sounds
Jonathan
terrifying.
is a actual academic. Yeah, and not a lefty. He's not. Jonathan's not even a lefty. So
That reminds me. So I was thinking about this idea that we're talking about now, and I thought like, okay, well, if the how like the media
but
brings all
yeah,
these like,
Jonathan Paul has written an excellent book called The Years of the Great.
hey Jonathan Pohl, if you're there, drop a link. I'll share it.
Yeah, carry on, mate. Carry on.
But yeah, so what's that here? So but anyways, that idea of like the literacy going down, I kind of thought like, so if the news came up with some sort of propaganda and presented it to someone like my father, he would probably, because it came from the news, he would eat it up, right? Because that's like to the boomer, not all boomers, but to a lot of boomers, like the TV is sort of like a god in some sense, like not a god, but it's like it's a trusted source because it's on the TV, But if you were to say the same
So,
thing to like, but if you were to say the same thing to his great 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 grandfather living on a farm in the Netherlands, where some of my family came from, they wouldn't believe it at all. They'd be like, "Oh, it's probably bullcrap," because they're illiterate. They happen to be illiterate, and they just, I think like something in their instinct would smell the bullshit. Like there's something about something about education
yeah,
in some
I
sense that like leaves you
absolutely agree with that, mate.
susceptible.
I do
Uh,
absolutely.
what's it called? You have to be a
Yeah,
fool to
I
believe
would
it.
say
Sorry, go ahead.
even our great grandfathers, would have viewed the TV with a lot of dubiousness, shall we
Hmm.
say?
Yeah, exactly. Almost like it's like an evil witch hanging out in your living room.
Yeah, though I don't think they would have believed all that stuff, because bear in mind, like your great grandfather, for example, would have been like a pioneer in Canada. So he would have believed what he could see for a large part, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Especially the ones that came from the Netherlands to the States, they would definitely be very, very suspicious. The Luxembourgish one too. I don't know about the Scottish one because the Scottish guy he was a engineer, so he might have been a little bit overeducated. But I think compared to nowadays, maybe he would have been okay. Like given what we have these days.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
okay, well I got
Some
some more questions.
Danish dudes who moved
Oh yeah, go ahead.
to America. And the thing was, one of these dudes had been in the Danish-Prussian War. You know, when both Prussia and Austro-Hungary attacked Denmark. Yeah. And the Danish won some of those battles. They lost some of the others. They lost the war, obviously, because they were heavily outnumbered. But this dude, all these Americans thought he was an idiot, of course, because he was Danish. But actually, he'd been through a real war, which was at least as bad as the American Civil War in many respects. And so he wasn't. And it was actually quite a good Western. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was not bad. But sorry, mate.
No, I like to hear you speak. That's the best part about this. And unfortunately, the audio is just totally like messing up today, but it's fine. We'll just rock through it.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit. I'm sure we'll get over it, but okay. Yeah. But you said you had some more questions.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think there might be like a little bit of a time delay because because of the distance, but I'm not sure. But so sorry if I interrupt you. It's not on purpose.
Yeah, my internet.
All right. Well, if you can see on the screen, because I can't hear anything right now. The next question is, what do you do? What do you do or did before you? I guess we talked about that already. What did you do before retirement? Like you were because you were in the army, but when you were in Australia, what did you do for work, or were you retired by the time you got there?
Oh, I was in sales.
Oh, in sales. Okay.
No, I was in sales in Australia. I did sales. I did door-to-door sales in businesses, and I was pretty good at it, but I hated it. But
yeah,
I was pretty good at it.
Well, hey, guess what? That means we share one more thing in common because I sell electric scooters. I live in a hippie city, so they sell a little bit. I sell a little bit here and there. But it is fun. Like sales is challenging because you have to. It's harder than like other people won't know. But like, imagine trying to say to someone, "Hey, give me your hard-earned money, and I'm going to give you this thing, or whatever it is." And it's actually kind of challenging to get them to part with their money, and it's understandable too, right? Because like, what if you're selling them bullshit? You essentially have to earn their trust, you know.
Oh, look, one reason I was good at it is that if I sold, and I sold everything from calculators through clocks to toys for your kids to you name it. I sold everything, right? But one reason I was good at it.
Yeah. Oh.
Because I used to tell people, look, if this breaks,
you'll replace it?
Yeah, I would replace it. And I always did. Like if it was within, I don't know, a couple of months, someone said to me, this thing broke me, I would just give them a new one, basically.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Actually, I tell them like, because for me, I'll just buy a new one, give them that one, and then I'll tell the company, hey, this one I just bought isn't working, and then send that one back. So it doesn't really bother me. Well, it just make sure it just means I have to order another unit in for them, but that doesn't bother me. But for them, for the customer, it's great because they basically get a guaranteed.
Yeah, that's what I used to
do. New unit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which was a reasonable, to me, it was a reasonable way to do business because, as you say, people giving you their hard-earned money, and if you give them something that breaks, you should replace it because, no one gives you their hard-earned money for something that's going to fucking break. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, with reasonable amount of time, like I give them a year. So if it breaks within it should last like, I'm thinking like, other than the battery on these things, like because batteries just wear out the more you use them. But like uh, it should last at least a year, and I say even longer. I think these things will last like at least 5 years, which is great economy, like compared to having a car or taking the bus. You don't want to take the bus with the stinky homeless guys. You want to, be a little independent and take the trails.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to be flash fly, as you might say in North America, for $3, and it breaks 6 months later. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But if it breaks in a month, sure, I'll replace it for you. No worries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's limits, right? But that's cool. I didn't know you did sales, but I mean, maybe you mentioned it before. It's been a long time though. I think maybe we talked about this at one point, but it's good to hear.
That was the last full-time job I did, was sales. Before that, I worked on various boats. I worked on an East Coast prawn trawler in Australia for quite a while. I worked on sailboats out of Ellie Beach for quite a while.
What's a East Coast prawn trawler? What's it look like? Is it like a big boat, or what was the prawn trawler? Are you talking out of the? So what is East Coast, the one that's on the Pacific?
No, you're probably talking, I don't know, 50, 60 foot, something like that, most of them. And you're catching prawns, and unless you're doing banana prawns, which are a day thing, but all other prawns like tiger prawns and all the rest of them are nighttime stuff. And the first trip I did, we did 89 days at sea. We had one night off in all that 8 days. One night. And it was just me and the skipper. And by the end of it, we were throwing things at each other because we'd become so annoyed at each other by that stage. But yeah.
Did you make a killing? You must have made a killing 3 months at sea.
No. Far from it. I got back in the Cairns after 89 days, and I had earned $2,500 in 89 days.
That sounds really bad. Oh, you mean, I don't know what year was that? That must have been in the 2000s.
Oh no, yeah, it was. It was after my girl killed herself. It would have been 2005-ish. Okay.
Yeah.
And I made $2,500 for 89 days at sea, and I blew nearly all of it in about 4 days.
That's crazy.
When I got into port. Well, I was on chicks and drink stuff.
Yeah. So. There's this we have these, like, I'm on the Pacific coast, like North Pacific, and there's these fishing boats that go out and get like those crabs, and there's different.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah, there's those. But that's like the big money one. Those guys come home with like tens of thousands of dollars, but there's also other ones that you still get quite a bit of money, like making like probably $1,000 a day at least, pulling up, like, not king crab. King crab is just absolutely killer money because it's just so dangerous. But yeah, it's good money if you can handle it up here, but it's a shitty life. My brother, he did salmon.
Yeah,
salmon
it's
fish.
not like that interesting. It was interesting. Shall I say that? It was interesting. But yeah, I worked on boats a lot. Working on sailboats was great because I love sailing, and I was working on tourist boats out of Ellie Beach. So like twice a week, you get these different chickie babes on your boat, which was kind of cool, actually. But
yeah, it's not bad. It's good sightseeing.
That was all right, but it wasn't well paid. Trust me, it wasn't well paid. But it had its competition, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, my brother, he worked on I think a salmon fishing boat back in probably late 90s up in Alaska. So it's like the Panhandle, and sometimes they'd be at sea. Cool. Yeah, and sometimes they'd be at sea for a while, but they run out of food. And you can't really eat the catch because it's in the hold. So they would they'd be like starting to starve, and then they'd start whipping out the dog food. So my brother would be like
I don't
starving
know. We used to. We didn't eat the prawns very often on the prawn trawlers.
Yeah, we want to sell them, so.
But we used to catch crayfish and stuff sometimes, and we'd eat those. But I mean, you know, what we could buy off this boat was cigarettes, alcohol, and chocolate. That was all they sold. Cigarettes, alcohol, chocolate. You could fill up on those things. But I mean, of course, if you were running out of food, you could keep some of your prawns and not stick them in the freezer, and then you could eat them basically.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. But yeah, my brother told me he was eating the dog food, and I was like, "That sounds disgusting." He's like, "It tasted good when you're starving." I was like, "Oh, I guess fair enough." You know? But I guess they'd want to stay out a couple extra days to make more money, and then they just didn't have the food. They didn't plan ahead, I suppose.
Sounds to me like a fisherman's story, but all right, man.
Yeah.
Sounds like a trawler guy's story to me, but all right.
So here I have a good question for you. I asked Black Horse the same question, but I figure you have a different point of view. What advice would you give to young men today in terms of relationships, masculinity, traditionalism, like versus the pause?
Well, my advice would be... I would certainly, first of all, say be a man.
Mm-hmm.
Women don't like guys who are not manly. They don't. Even women who will tell you they're feminists don't really like men who are not manly. They don't. When they tell you that, they're lying. They'll friend zone you. Absolutely.
Yeah, they don't want another pussy.
Progressivism. I mean, just avoid cool chick to like it is my opinion.
Yeah, I found like
honest.
Yeah. Well, did you find with like my wife, she was kind of progressive, but she came from a very conservative family, and I used to consider myself left wing at one point, mostly because I was like involved in a union, and I was kind of pissed off about like how wages are really low and stuff like that. But it was never really like I was never like the global homo guy. I always thought that was bullcrap. And the Troons was always bullcrap to me. But then when I learned more about economics, I realized like left wing crap is crap, right? It doesn't make any sense. Once you get into the Ludwig von Mises stuff, it's kind of over. If you're honest with yourself, so to speak, What do you think? Do you think guys need to like suffer a little more? I think a lot of
any other lefty bullshit. All decent women will despise you if you come out with that stuff. They will not. Even women who, on the surface, claim to be feminists will despise you if you say, "I'm a feminist male and I'm a feminist ally and all this stuff." They will despise you because women for millions of years have that, because for one thing, don't defend them when they need defending, or their children, So
yeah, they can sense the weakness.
I'd say, yep, absolutely right, absolutely right. A good girl. And also, there's another thing. I got a good friend who you probably know, Liquid Swan, called Red Hawk. He's an excellent young American dude.
Oh yeah, I know. I met him at the event.
Yeah, well done, mate. Well done. But Red Hawk says the truth about this. He's much, much younger than me, but he does get this. That you won't find a traditional girl today. You just won't. All right? They've all been to some degree infected by feminism. But underneath that surface level feminism, many women still have the same thinking that women have always traditionally had, that they want a bloke who they can trust to defend them and maybe later on their children. And so, yeah, be a bloke. Women much prefer someone who is a actual man, you know?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I think Jordan Peterson said this at one point, but for all his problems and whatnot, but he said that you can't really defeat 200,000 years of, or whatever you said, millions of years of development.
Yeah, of
evolution. 50 years of social policy.
Yeah,
evolution. You can't defeat that with 50 years of social policy.
Yeah, 100% right. 100% right. Women far prefer a bloke who will sometimes say no to them than a bloke who will always agree with them.
Yeah.
Because
and also
sometimes a woman will sit and say, no, you're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. No. They will prefer to hear that. Honestly, that's the truth.
They need to hear it, I think. It's sort of like a requirement of, it's like a biological urge, like to be not controlled, but to be led.
They never respect you. If you don't say no to them, they will never ever respect you.
Exactly. It's a weird conundrum. A lot of guys miss this out. They like, oh, I'm gonna be nice. And another thing too is like when sometimes women give advice to guys that are like having problems getting chicks, and they always say stuff like, oh, you just want to be nice and stuff. But what women are saying is they're not saying they want you to be nice. What they're saying is they want the guys they're attracted to be nice. And what they're essentially saying is like, don't do that. Like they're not talking about the guy they're talking to. They're talking about the guy they're attracted to. Because obviously they're attracted to them for different reasons other than being nice. They would just like them to be those things, but also nice or whatever at the same time.
Yeah,
so what these like beta guys, they get lost.
And even when women say they want you to be nice, they don't mean they want you to just agree with them all the time. I mean, in fact, if you agree with a woman all the time, she will sooner rather than later start to despise you. You have to. I'm not saying you always say no to women, obviously not, because sometimes women have good ideas. But on other occasions, you need to say to a girl, no, we are not going to do that. And if you do that and stick to it, you'll find most good girls will actually, they'll respect you for that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And if a woman doesn't respect you, there's going to be no interest, because that's number one. Well, there's this theory out there.
Exactly. 100%.
There is I don't know if it's a theory, but I heard someone talk about this. They said that women don't like men will love women and children. They'll love their wife and their children. And the women will love their children, but the women doesn't really love the man. They respect them, but that's seen as love, I suppose. So it's a different concept, where like it's based on different things, which makes sense because we're different creatures,
I agree
right?
with that.
Yeah. So that's why stoicism is such a good thing for guys to sort of practice. Like
very true, mate.
As Aubrey said in the chat, Aubrey doesn't want to have doesn't want a girlfriend. She wants like a male figure that is going to provide stability and strength. And
I know. To be fair, I know Aubrey, so yeah, absolutely right. But yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Got another question for you. It's sort of related to this. What's your diagnosis in regards to the our like time of decline, like that we find ourselves in. What do you think is the overall cause or things that are contributing to? Well, what caused our time to be like this versus, like, say, earlier or other times? Like, why is it so
Well,
bad now?
I mean, I could say the obvious World War II thing.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
that's
could
true.
say that almost as obvious. I could say the almost as obvious World War One thing. The real truth, I think, is that the only people who are not allowed to stand up for themselves anymore are white Anglo-Celtic guys, basically. I mean, if you can talk about the Anglosphere, like, Britain, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and to some degree America, the only people who are not allowed to have any sort of groupthink are white guys, basically.
Yeah. I think,
If you're a Native American or what do they call them in Canada these days, mate? The founding Canadian
First Nations, they call them. Yeah.
First Nations, yeah. In Australia, they talk about the Aboriginals, who in I don't know something like 20,000 years never made anything more than a bark hut. Yeah, the only people who are not allowed to have any sort of self-interest these days in white Western nations and Anglosphere nations are the white people, the white Anglo-Celtic people specifically, which is ridiculous.
What do you think it'll take for?
Why
What do you
is
think
it?
it'll take? What do you think it'll take to change that? Like I mean, from like, because obviously it's not just the guys, the people on the other side of us. What do you think it's going to take in like the Anglo-Celtic person, the male,
It's
to
changing.
like,
I think it is changing. I
yeah,
think it's changing. I mean, look at recent events in Britain, for example.
yeah,
I think it is changing. I think the normies, air quotes, I don't like the term, but I get it.
yeah,
The normies who only watch the mainstream media, even those guys are starting to wake up to it now.
yeah.
And I think that's going to change it. And
Skills,
also,
maybe.
as aircraft fall out, as aircraft fall out of the sky because people made mistakes who were diversity hires,
Yeah, brown
as
people.
ships sink because people make mistakes who were diversity hires,
Yeah.
I think that's going to change people's opinions.
Or every time an Indian guy messes up the coffee at Tim Hortons. No, it's coffee. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's about that, but
the Anglo-Saxon began to hit.
when your airliner falls out of the sky because a bit drops off it, people will start to wake up to that. I think. I hope so. Anyway.
I was listening to this thing where it was about Weimar. I'm sure you're familiar.
Yeah.
And it was talking about how, like,
in Germany.
there's pimps in the street that were like pimping out animals and young boys, old boys, men, women, old people, young people, troons. You could get anything on the menu essentially. If you could think of it, the pimp had a guy, and or a
Yeah.
quetzal, and they said that it took it until that point and a little bit further before, you had the beer hall pooch and stuff like that. Actually, I got a question because you're a military guy or ex-military guy. It's a funny one. So if you're stuck in a room with a traitor and an enemy, and you have a gun with 2 bullets, what do you do?
Kill both of them.
I kind of thought that would be okay, but then I think you don't want to take a chance. You have to shoot. You have to pew pew the traitor twice. I think that would be the key.
No, I shoot both of them in the brain, and they'd both be dead. I was a pretty good shot, so
But he might.
I'd shoot both.
But you want to be sure to get rid of the traitor. So I'm just kind of
No, I
making a
shot
joke.
both of them mate, because I was a pretty good shot, and trust me, if I
You mean
why
pew pew
not
them?
try
You
and
pew. You're not going to kill
I can
anybody. Just
kill
pew
two
pew.
people?
The pew pew them.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
YouTube.
right in the head. Yeah, and
Pew-
also
in
if you're in the
Minecraft.
room with and obviously, I mean, I would never hurt anyone. I would never, honestly. I'm the most peaceful guy you've ever met. But if I was in the room with them, I could go right up and shoot them from like 1 inch away, so they'd both be dead. But yeah, but obviously, as you say, in Minecraft,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. So
in
we're just talking about
reality,
we're just
I
talking about
don't
video
really give a
games. Obviously,
damn.
Call of Duty, Minecraft. Real life, just total video
But
games.
yeah, I'd shoot both of them.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
like one of the issues I think like you
Never
can see the
noticed.
situation.
So,
Yeah. Well, one of the issues in the UK, like there's like the brown problem there, where it's causing a lot of conflict, let's say. But like, is it their fault? I mean, they came, okay, that makes sense, I get it. But why, if you were them, I mean, if you were them and they're like, hey, you're gonna get lots of money if you come here, like, I mean, I would too. I mean, if I was just like a normie, not thinking, just going for the cash.
I've
But
always
the
been
people,
told that I don't do hypotheticals very well. But if I did, the thing that started all that stuff in UK,
yeah,
well, the thing that actually triggered it, there's been years of stuff going on before that, obviously. The grooming gang scandals in UK, for example, where little British schoolgirls, some of them as young as, were gang raped, tortured, humiliated, and all sorts of. And the British police were arresting the dads, trying to save them.
yeah,
And
exactly.
this was years ago. And by the way, at that time, the director of public prosecutions was a certain Sir Keir Starmer, who is now head of the stormtroopers.
That's crazy. That's what I mean. I see him as a traitor, like a total traitor.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But I mean, the thing that directly started the civil disobedience in UK recently was 3 tiny little girls, 6, 7-year-olds, who were murdered by one of these foreign invaders.
Yeah, and he killed 3, but he went after 11 of them. Like
the BBC, the bias, the son of immigrants from Rwanda in East Africa.
And they called him a Welshman.
So, he was not. Yeah, not a Welshman, not British. And he deliberately went and stabbed them and stabbed other people. And that's what started it. And we are now in a situation where grandmas, granddads, 12-year-old British schoolboys are being arrested and given long prison sentences because they don't like the fact that 3 little British innocent schoolgirls were murdered by a foreign invader who shouldn't have been in the country in the first place. That's absolutely what's really happening.
It's disgusting, and like he killed 3, but he went out. He stabbed 11 or attacked 11 of them.
More. Yeah, he wanted to kill more. He tried to kill.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what stopped him, but whatever did, like, thank God. Like,
that's what's really happening in Britain at the moment. Follow somebody like Morgoth on Twitter, on X. Morgoth, I think, very often speaks for the British people.
Yeah,
He's a
he's
good guy.
awesome.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
At
but
Morgoth's
yeah,
Review on Twitter.
Yeah, he's excellent. He's excellent. But you know what? This is not going to do the British government any good. It's not going to do the Labour Party any good. At the moment, Nigel Farage from Reform says mass immigration must end now. And so long as he sticks to that, I think all good Anglo-Celtic British people should vote for him, frankly, because he's the only one telling the truth.
Yeah, he's the only option. Like, what else is there? Vote for the Conservatives to double it again?
And the British, air quotes, conservative buys.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just been forced on them. I mean, I'm pretty sure that most Canadians never really wanted mass immigration, but Trudeau sure forced it on you guys. So, you know.
Well, unfortunately, I'm okay. Like if an immigrant marries a Canadian or a British person or whatever, they marry in, they're part of the tribe. Like they go through the ceremony, they're part of the tribe now. But like if they're and there's people with more extreme views than that than me, and I sympathize. But to just bring them in, like bring in mass loads of these people, I think it's all part of this whole like middle class war on the working class. Like I think I mentioned this on the show I was with you last week.
Yeah, it's replacement immigration. They want to destroy our original peoples. They just want to destroy them.
Have you ever talked to a middle class person or heard them talk about the working class? I mean, obviously you have. I'm just curious about if you have any experiences to share.
They're,
Sorry?
I think we're stronger than that. I think we'll win. I think
Oh yeah, no.
we,
Yeah.
as Anglo-Celtic and British and British Commonwealth peoples, I think we're stronger than that, and I think we'll win. And I think we'll defeat Keir Starmer and his, two-tier Keir and his stormtroopers. I think we'll defeat them. I really do.
Do you know what? I actually have one last question, and it's kind of interesting. I'll ask this just because it's there, then I'm gonna go further with it. But what's the current purpose of the royal family, in your opinion? And I was just thinking of that because obviously, yeah, good point. But like Charles could technically, he has the power to dissolve Parliament and call a new election. So I'm wondering if he'd ever use that power.
He won't use it. He's lefty.
He's too much of a
I don't think so. Look, I was mildly fond of the late Queen because as an 18-year-old British soldier, you could replace these current Windsors with a Plantagenet or even an Anglo-Saxon king. That would be great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in favor of a royal family, and I'm a monarchist, but I don't like Charles. I think the Windsors have long ago lost their way. And
how can we radicalize
give me
them?
a Plantagenet, please.
How could we radicalize them so that they would see what we see and start to understand the plight of their people? Because like they're supposed to represent like the spirit of the people. There's no way.
I don't think there's a way of doing it, mate. I wish there was, but I don't think so. Charles goes on about bullshit like green stuff and bullshit stuff, And I'm sorry, I cannot respect a man who wanted to be his girlfriend's temple. So there we go.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's the thing.
Apparently, what he
sorry.
No, I didn't say anything. man.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't say anything.
I thought you were saying something. But yeah, that's the thing is like it's tough because I'm also a monarchist, but like I'm not very impressed with like the purpose of monarchy is supposed to be like they see a problem and then they see a major problem that's like affecting the people, and they're supposed to go out and like stop the middle class bastards from ruining everything. And it seems like he's not doing that. So then they ask, okay, what's the purpose of him? I don't want to get rid of the monarchy, but if we could get a monarch in there that would actually be a monarch,
Yeah.
that would be great. You know, he has the
Yeah,
power.
give me an Anglo-Saxon king or a Plantagenet king. Great, I'll support them 100%.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the
hey, man.
Windsors go lost their way.
They shouldn't even be the Windsors. They should be the Mountbattens, shouldn't they? Because Philip was a Mountbatten.
Yeah, he was all right. I didn't mind Philip.
He was probably the best one that they had
I
left.
didn't mind Philip. Yeah, I didn't like Mountbatten himself, but Philip was all right.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tragedy he got killed in that way, but well, I think it was more a tragedy his grandson was killed. in
Yeah,
the aftermath.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But yeah, I think the Windsors lost was all right. After that, not so sure, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, hey, Duke, it's just over an hour now. I figure we should wrap it up. It's getting late over here, and I don't want to keep you too much longer.
No worries.
But hey, so are you up to anything new? You're doing a stream tomorrow, you said?
Yep, got a stream tomorrow. The Franklin, very a good Australian YouTuber, is going to be on for the latter half of the stream. Like it starts at 6 a.m. Eastern Australian time, which is 9 p.m. Saturday British time.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure it's 2000 GMT. And for the second half of that stream, we're gonna have the Franklin as a special guest. He recently lost his YouTube channel. Which we're going to talk about.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Well, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you for just stay on for a minute. I'm running the stream, so I can say goodbye. But thanks for coming. It's been great. Hope the audience enjoyed this one. No worries.
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we can do this again sometime. Bring it back on. Yeah, you've been great. It's been great. It's unfortunate the audio has been a little bit weird. It's almost like it's like stretching it out. It's hard to explain, but it must just be weird internet stuff.
I've seen the audio has had issues.
Yeah, it happens.
I've heard the audio has it.
Yeah. But hey, if anybody listening, if they're having trouble with the audio, just double the speed when it starts messing up, and it will sound more clear. As I think it's taking the audio packets and stretching them. I don't know. I have this feeling. I don't know anything about audio. But anyways, it's been great having you on, and thanks for coming, and hopefully have you on again soon.
No worries. Thanks for having me on, mate, and